So hi, I'm Rob, I'm the Builder Investor. Welcome to the Builder Investor podcast. Today we've got Kyle and Leon. They've come down from where have you come down from today, lads?
From Nantwich.
Come down from Nantwich, so not too far this time. So Kyle and Leon, we've found basically on Instagram, and we found out that they only live up the road basically. We met each other last year at the Prosperity, was it, lads?
It was, yeah.
At the gala event. So, and they've come have a talk about what they've been doing in the property space over the last, how long is it now you've been in there, lads?
About 5-6 years.
5-6 years.
Yeah, about 5 years.
So, obviously I know a little bit about you, but the people watching might not do, so would you like to just give us a little bit of background, introduce yourselves, let us know what you've been getting up to?
Yeah, so we're mainly rent to rent. We've been doing it for about 5-6 years now, around that. We started off mainly in Manchester, so focused on Manchester. We've now started scaling to Liverpool. We've built up quite a decent sized rent-to-rent portfolio, and we're looking at now getting into HMO conversions and stuff like that.
Yeah, so like you said, that's what kind of got us into the game, and now we're looking at kind of building our own portfolio and using the knowledge that we've gained over the past 5 years to kind of, start gaining our own wealth, and that's where the real money is, isn't it? So we're running around, but we want to be building our own portfolio now.
So over the last 5 years, you've been basically building up a rent-to-rent portfolio of your own. Are you doing sourcing deals for the other people as well, or is it just for yourself?
So we don't source, no. A couple of years ago, we co-sourced a few deals, but it's not really something we look at because we run a rent-to-rent business. So when we're looking at deals in, Manchester and Liverpool, we've even looked at a few around Stoke lately, it doesn't make any sense to us because we could sell that deal for £3,000 or we could generate, say on average, £1,000 a month. So for us as running that business, it doesn't make sense, but we are looking at getting into the BRR, the flips and sourcing properties like that. So that's kind of our next step now.
Yeah, that's really good because it's kind of it's there's a lot of people out there that want to get into property. They've not got much more. I mean, me included. You know what I mean? I know I run a construction company, and people see that what comes with a building company or construction company is loads of money and what have you, and it's just not true.
Slim margins.
Yeah, there's slim margins because of materials and things like that. But yeah, getting back to the point of the fact that there's a lot of people out there that want to get into property, but the funds that they've got are reduced, but all they get pushed in front of them are the likes of these financial 3 and 30 days kind of things. Where you can find a rent to rent, and all of a sudden you're cash flowing $5,000 a month, and you can give your job up and things like that. What's your opinion on that kind of thing?
So I don't believe it's possible to. I see a lot of mentors being be financially free within 90 days. We've been there. We've done it from the start, from rent to rent. So we started with no money. If anything, we probably started in a bit of a minus.
Credit card.
Don't advise anyone to do that. But it took me over 6 months to get my first deal, and that was basically putting a lot of work in. So that was full steam ahead, viewing as much as I could, running numbers, putting offers in, and it took 6 months to get our deal. So
have you always worked together then, or did one of you
Kyle
start before?
Started it, yeah.
So is one of you older than the other then? Or
I'm older.
You're the older brother, are you?
So I'm older, and I've always been, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but in terms of smart, I'm quite smart. I was good at school, I was always getting high grades, didn't really put any effort in, but still smashed all my grades. Whereas Kyle's more of a outside the box doer, thinker. He'll describe himself better, but I feel you've obviously had the idea, you've got the business started, and then I came into it. How far in were you?
I was probably about 8-9 months in.
Yeah, but at that point,
so you got your first deal then by the time you.
Well, he was testing me. He didn't just because you've got to think. People see what he was doing and they're like, oh, Kyle's in the property space. He's posting videos. He's doing these. He was getting doing Instagram posts like I'm doing viewings and that, so everyone's trying to jump on it, all his friends and that, and he's like, right, Leon, read this book. So Rich Dad Poor Dad it was.
It's kind of the gateway into it, isn't it? It's the first one I read, and pretty much everyone I speak to.
First one.
Yeah, it's the book that you read if you want to get into kind of property and mindset and
it's one of the books assets. Because I read a lot of books, but I remember that book well. It's strange, but like he gave me that book and he said read it, and obviously he was testing me. Cheeky bastard. But am I actually going to read it? Obviously I am motivated, but I didn't really know where to go in life. I was doing sales, earning a nice number for how old I was. So yeah, I read it, and then, Leon's serious, helped him out with viewings, and kind of just built my way into it, to the point where we're 50-50 and everything now. We share everything, so, obviously within reason, but yeah, it kind of just worked my way into it, did the viewings, because originally we were both working full-time 9-to-5s.
What was it you did before property then, or?
So sales, I was Eurocar Parts on the phones.
Yeah, and I was engineer, so mechanical, electrical engineer. So
right, okay.
But you were working shifts, weren't you?
Yeah.
So it's like...
So not bad jobs then, you know what I mean? You had
jobs.
half decent jobs, don't you?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But would I want to do that for the rest of my life? No. And looking back at it now, I'm so glad that I made that step, but... Yeah, we'd finish work at 5:30. I'm working in Crewe, straight down to Manchester, viewings. I'm doing viewings at like 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, because we've got to. Yeah. Kyle would sometimes be available, sometimes not, because you were doing nights and days, weren't you?
Yeah, well, I was doing 6-2-2-10. So when I was on 6-2, I basically tried to book everything in the afternoons. So I was finishing work at 2 o'clock, home, shower, Manchester.
Yeah, it's all when you first get going and you're still doing what you did for a living as well, and you're trying to fit them both in.
Yeah.
And then you've got these mentors that pop up on Instagram or YouTube and tell you, you can fit it in with 6 hours a week and stuff like that. And it's like, all shit. Like.
We're going back to that point where you said about financial freedom. It doesn't exist in property, does it? Let's be honest. Like, don't get me wrong, I've got the freedom and we can do what we want. And if I didn't want to work today, I wouldn't have had to work. But how long is that life going to last if you don't work? Do you know what I mean? It's
one of them. I saw a situation earlier on this year, and people going about financial freedom. This guy who I knew had 150 properties. Yeah. He was financially free until the interest rate took hold. Yeah. He was a bit foolish in the fact that he'd over leveraged with this low interest rate that we had, and then when the interest rate shot up to 6%, all of a sudden he's not financially free no more, even though he's got 150 properties. So it's kind of
because he's got no money in them. Because
the whole phrase is kind of open to interpretation. Are you with me?
Well, it's the people that use that are the people that sell the courses and don't really do what they're selling. 100%. And this is where we come into it. Like, we're just straight up. We'll tell you how it is, and we help people and we teach it, but we actually do it. Yeah. So every single day,
that's the difference, isn't it? Yeah.
We're dealing with the issues, the tenants, and we've scaled it. We've got the staff and. At least we're actually, and this is what really does bug me, because I can see it is a good earner, mentoring.
How many staff have you got then now, is it?
So we have the one VA now, and that deals with everything. Yeah, but flashback to last year, we had 5 lads working full time because we took a year out of property. Yeah. We started a maintenance business and we were going to grow it into a construction business. Right. So we did register the construction business, but we sacked it in.
It's hard work, isn't it, maintenance?
Yeah, we were doing well, but there's that many rogue agents out there.
Yeah. Everyone wants you to go out and to do an inspection, and then all of a sudden the landlord doesn't want to pay that kind of money. We cover, I think it's about 800 odd properties now for maintenance as a construction company. Yeah. And it's not by far, it's not our most profitable side of the company. Yeah.
It made us alright money, but we scaled it somewhat accidentally. So basically, we've got to a point now where we've got a certain amount of properties, and we thought, right, let's take someone on 2 days a week just to do our maintenance, so like touch-ups and general repairs, because wearing HMOs especially, you get a lot of wear and tear, you get a lot of dirt, you're going to need to paint often. So I thought 2 days a week, let's get someone in. We're paying them about £110-120 a day, so it's like £1,000 a month, fine. But then obviously the business inside us were like, how can we offset this payment? Like, I don't want to pay this. You know what I mean? So we thought, right, let's outsource him 3 days a week. Rang a few companies, councils. Do you know what's the name? I don't want to name them, but what they called? They're like
local authorities.
I didn't want to name them, but local authorities. Like they work for the council housing people, so
housing
they have big.
associations.
That's exactly what it is. Housing association. I couldn't think of it. So we got in with a few of them, turning properties around that tenants had been in trashed. So not major refurbs, but to their standard, repainting, maybe skim the walls. You're not going back to brick or anything. But they still sending us a lot of work. So accidentally, over a couple of months, we had like 5 lads working 5 days a week, and this was crazy. So obviously, you'll know, you're footing the materials, you're footing obviously their wages and all this kind of stuff whilst you're waiting for payments, and not every payment's getting paid weekly. These councils especially, they're like monthly, and they were the best payers. Then we started expanding into the agents to kind of charge more. They've got more money, their landlords have got more money, but that's when like the payments started slowing down. So now we're bankrolling, and the rent-to-rent business is feeding it. Because we're running out of cash on the maintenance because we need to get the money in. And it just got to the point where it was that stressful and they weren't paying us, and one agent owed us about 10 grand, and we went in there a couple of months on to talk about it. They're like, that wasn't a standard, that isn't. I'm like, mate, it's been like a year, you've never said anything. Like, we just weren't paying. And in the end we just sacked it off. We had to pay all the trade accounts off through the rent-to-rent business, like your Salco, your B&Q, and luckily we didn't lose everything, but there was a lot of strain then, and we didn't take any properties in that space either because we were just focusing on this new idea. So it's not all been plain sailing at all.
Business is not easy at all. I mean, I've been in business since I was pretty much 19 years old, kind of forced into it because I was a tradesman, I was a carpenter joiner, and back at that time it was the big time of everyone going self-employed and working. It wasn't called CIS then, it was called something else. It was that far back. But at CIS as you know it now, that was like quite new, and everyone was self-employed and they all worked for the big housing companies. And I was kind of forced into that, coming out of an apprenticeship at 19. And I've been pretty much, I've had a few jobs. I've worked for colleges and things like that, teaching. I'm qualified to teach in construction, but I've worked for myself pretty much majority of my life, and I'll tell you now, it's not easy.
It's not.
Like you say, cash flow's a big one. And it's just getting people to pay you on time, which has a knock-on effect on cash flow.
It does, and there's always excuses. So and we were about to scale that to a construction business, and don't get me wrong, we don't have the knowledge, but we were going to leverage.
It goes one step further then, because you're dealing with like you're going from maybe a £300 job or at the most like a 1,200 quid job up to could be a 150, 200 grand extension. Are you with me?
Well, I think the maintenance business is going to make a comeback because we were making money, we just inexperienced, did a few things wrong. But Alex Hormozy says it's like, you've lost the business, but you've not lost the knowledge and the skills that got you to all the systems and processes you had in place. Just a few minor tweaks, I reckon we'd still be doing it.
No one can take away what's up there. Are you with me? Once it's up there, it's up there, kind of thing.
Exactly.
That's why we always invest in getting educated and stuff like that. We spend a lot of money. We always have a mentor.
Yeah, we have
no
a mentor
matter what.
well.
We always have a mentor.
Who's your mentor at the moment then, is it?
Tony. He's big on the LinkedIn, but he's an older head. So we met him at a networking event in Canary Connections in Manchester.
I've heard of it.
It's a good networking event. It's not one of them where you sit down and just get talked to. They've got a bar, have a beer, as many beers as you want, and just chat to everyone. That is literally it.
There's no selling or anything like that.
It's a good event. He's helping us with the next stage now, because obviously we're looking to acquire now, raise finance, do that kind of stuff. Previous mentor, rent to rent, in terms of systems and processes, getting us out of the business, because once you start taking on so many properties, you just become an admin.
So how many properties have you got then now, your own rent to rent?
At the minute we've got 14. We did have 16. We've give 2 back.
Right.
So the very first we took on,
first 2.
You took them on in your own.
So what? That's probably my next question. What did your first property look like compared to the ones that you're doing now?
Jesus Christ!
Have you learnt a lot in those 5 years? Or
we don't have them 2 properties, so go into that.
There you go.
So break it down. Looking for properties for over 6 months, and it was a shambles. Couldn't get anything, and I was just viewing. Managed to secure Well, I actually got offered like four properties, right? It was during the time
Just before COVID hit. So when was 2020? Back end of 2019, you said?
2019,
There was an investor that was getting rid of his rent-to-rent because he was worried about, obviously, COVID. I saw it as an opportunity, and he didn't want any sourcing fee or anything like that for him.
That says it all, doesn't it?
Didn't want any sourcing fee or anything
Imagine that today.
like that. And all he wanted is just the properties get rid of. And they come tenanted, both properties tenanted, and he did originally want me to take like 4 off him. But I said, look, I'll just take 2.
Yeah.
2 properties, not a problem. So anyway, I took over these properties. I didn't have to pay sourcing fee or anything like that. He just wanted gone. Now, I didn't understand that when you're taking over a property, that it's not good necessarily to take over with tenants in when you haven't referenced them yourself, because you don't know who they are.
You don't know anything about them.
Obviously, COVID then hit properly, and then it just, everything was just a shambles.
It was chaos.
Tenants stopped paying rent. We couldn't obviously do viewings. We're trying to do virtual viewings. The property wasn't to standard because we didn't really have any money to spend on a refurbishment.
You can't evict people because they've got the protections of COVID.
Yeah. So
we
were just scraping by.
Like there was enough people paying that we could pay the landlord.
Just about.
And that was about it. And then so like I said, we didn't reference anyone, did we?
No.
We didn't reference anyone. We just like, yes, full house. We're gonna make £1,000 a month on these. Let's go. Obviously, didn't happen like that. We were probably losing money. The houses were a shithole, proper shithole. The landlord didn't want to spend any money, did they?
At all.
And then obviously we were too friendly with tenants as well. You got to think we were like 19, 20 now, so I'm 26, 20, how old are you now? 25?
24, I am.
Birthday's in June, innit?
Yeah, 24.
Yeah, so like we're bare-faced young teenagers.
Yeah.
So they're like, it's just setting the scene. It's like now we know what we're doing, we're confident, we're not little boys anymore. So it's like people, there was one guy who didn't pay us rent once.
Yeah.
He bought a brand new watch instead. And he was he thought, this is how much they took the piss. He was showing Kyle his new watch and he owes us money.
Yeah. And he literally said to me, he's like, I'm not going to be able to pay rent this month because I've bought a new watch instead.
Yeah.
And then he proceeded to take his watch off and put his watch in my hand.
Yeah.
After I just asked him, I said, where's your
Now
watch?
I just walk off with it.
The 19-year-old me would have been, that watch is now mine.
Yeah. But at the time, like, I didn't know what to do in that situation. I've never had somebody.
Said, yeah, it's nice that is, mate.
I just went, yeah, it was a nice watch that is. And then I went home, I was like, what the fuck?
No, so, but put it into perspective then, we had people partying in the basements, and obviously it's a 6-bed HMO, so other tenants are fuming. You've got a police booting off the doors and everything in the garden. So there's a reason this guy offloaded his properties, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it wasn't a positive experience then from off the bat?
The first 2 were absolute nightmare.
I wouldn't change it.
Yeah, because I suppose it's been a good learning experience, been a good learning curve to actually learn what not to do, basically.
Yeah, you offer me a property with tenants now, not a chance, I'm not touching it.
But we,
I'm not touching it.
Like especially after that property, every single other property we took on, we thought this is actually dead easy now. Because we'd learnt so much from that, and they were probably the worst 2 properties we possibly could have taken on. Everything after that was just a breeze, and because we had so many issues with them first ones, we implemented a lot of procedures, systems and things to deal with all these issues we were getting. So every other property after that just kind of just slotted in, and then we referenced tenants properly and that, and then we didn't have any issues.
Yeah.
So it's made life a lot easier.
Put it into perspective, the last one we've just done cost us about 12 grand to get to standard. We spend that much money because now we negotiate longer contracts. We have a bit more about ourselves. We know how to sell it and speak to landlords, so we're doing that on 7 years, whereas then we spent absolutely nothing because we had no money.
Yeah.
And we did it on a 3-year contract?
Yeah, they were talking that through.
And I had to convince him to get rid of him because he was attached to him like his babies. Like, they're my first properties. I'm like, mate, they're losing.
I was like, we'll just do a little refurb and they'll be alright.
So like, luckily, I think we took on 2 more properties shortly after, so it kind of balanced the losses.
Yeah.
Because we must have been getting about £2,000 a month for properties that should have been getting about 6. And then obviously we took 2 more on, and that was kind of making profit. But once you took all the losses, we make nothing. And that went on for a while, and we started scaling, and then we finally agreed to get rid of him. suddenly we started making some money. I was like, right, now we go.
So what is your exact model then? Is it rent to HMO or rent to SA, or is it? Have you got a bit of a mix? Or?
Yeah, no, we've got one SA. We got that through the maintenance business, didn't we, Carl?
Yeah. So we basically went to price up some work, and we were speaking about what he intended on doing with the apartment and that, and he was just like, oh, we need to do it up to get it rented out. And we were like, well, why don't we do this? We'll do the refurbishment for free, so you're not paying blah blah blah. We'll secure a contract, and then you don't have to worry about them tenanting it. And then we negotiated it that way. We give him a quote for the work, and we put the price up a bit, so it looks like it's going to need loads. And they say, oh, we'll do it for free if we do it on an SA.
To be fair, we did transform that gaff, didn't we?
Yeah.
You'll see it on Instagram. It's pinned on my thing. It's we spent quite a bit on it, and it's in the city centre, Manchester.
Yeah. And so, did you do any works yourself, or was it going out to
not
trades
anymore?
And contractors?
Don't get me wrong. Now and then, if the contractors are busy, like you know what it's like. Sometimes.
Well, you've seen I've just had to come home and have a shower because I've been plastering myself.
Sometimes you have to.
Number one rule: you concentrate on the high value tasks. But when sometimes needs must, and it's kind of
Well, when we first started, we were sleeping over at the properties, painting. Because that's all we really do. It's all we really know how to do. I'm not a tradesman. I'm an office man. Do you know what I mean? I'm terrible at it. He hates it. I can't even use a drill properly. But
I know, but in the early days, we tried to do as much as we could ourselves. We'd save money.
That's what you have to do when you first start out. You have to do things yourself in order to get going, to build up a bit of capital.
You're hungry as well. You've got an idea and you're going for it. You're like, this is it. So like, work all week. We'd work all week, Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'd spend in Manchester, sleeping there at the property on a mattress on the floor, painting till God knows what time in the morning.
I know there's videos from like 3-4
Which
o'clock.
I think back, it's stupid because we could have just gone bed earlier and woke up earlier. You know what I mean? But like, we go to bed like 3.
Obviously, night owls like me. I can't sleep at night. I'd rather work at night than first thing in the morning.
I think that now when I see people doing it, I think just go to bed earlier, wake up earlier, and like you're there at 4 o'clock. We're not getting up till 12.
Whenever I see these people that that are like pushing the early bird gets the worm, get up at 5, and that's the best part of the day and all that. I'm thinking. No.
That's
the best part of the day for sleeping for me. I'm terrible insomniac, so I don't sleep at night.
It's like if you're working at night, it doesn't matter, does it?
No, it doesn't matter when you work, as long as you get the work done, in my opinion. And I do a lot at night. I do a hell of a lot. Are you with me? So it's probably not good for me, but pardon.
But then again, if you're sleeping in, you're still getting.
I don't sleep in, you know what I mean? I'm up at 7, half 7.
Yeah,
I'm not talking.
You know what I mean? Like,
but I'm not a 5 o'clock riser like a lot of people in property.
You probably do better work at night though, really. You know, when you just wake up and you're not fully there yet, and you're having your coffee and that, and you're straight.
It's things like this. Obviously, once we've recorded this, you guys will go away now, and I'll sit and edit it, and it's the part that I enjoy. I love the social media and the interaction and the editing and anything to do like that. It's because I've always been on site and worked with my hands, so when I get the chance to do things like this which are creative and get on a computer and things like that, because they weren't, when I was leaving school we had an old BBC computer, so something that's over there now that's recording us, it's like blew my mind when we first saw it. So,
crazy.
So I love that kind of thing. So so that's when I do it. I'll you'll go home, I'll have a bit of tea, and it'll be a case of get the laptop out and let's get it edited.
I'm straight at the M6, straight to Liverpool, because we've got a few to do down there. Obviously that's where my little lad is, so that's where I'm going after this. And I've got to check in at one of the properties because they've got no electric, fuse board's gone, they can't find the key, so it's part of the job though. Do you know what I mean? It's like Friday night, I'm going to be working till about 7 o'clock, but I choose that life. Do you know what I mean?
You're choosing the freedom in other places, aren't you?
Exactly.
How many other jobs could you choose to come and just shoot a podcast whenever you fancied or something like that?
That's it, exactly.
You're giving away part of your life in other aspects to get freedom back in other places.
And I feel like we have an advantage being obviously business partners, but brothers. We know each other inside out, but we don't agree on everything at all. And I think that's
nobody does, and I think that's scary when you do. I think you need to have not disagreements, but you need to have heated discussions, and because that shows that you're passionate, that you want to do it right, and you've both got different ideas. Both got different skill sets as well, and
different people.
You know what I mean?
Different people in that sense. Like obviously we have the same things in common and that, like you do, but like in terms of our skills, we're worlds apart.
But you'll probably find you both got the same values, and that's the important part to being partners. You've got to have the same values. I know, because I've been in partnerships and it hasn't worked because we think, not because we've got different ideas, because we've got completely different values. We want different things from life or different things out of the business. So let's go back to, obviously you mentioned raising finance. I mean, is that the next thing on your agenda, to try and
so
bring in properties that you can own?
So part of the social, obviously we've had a big revamp on the social media. Obviously, if you know us and if you are followers, you would have seen it. We post every single day. Been doing that for about 100 days now, and that's part of just making people aware of what we do and what we're doing. So we're actively viewing properties in and around the northwest, stuff that potentially we'll source it on. But if we can make the numbers work for an investor to get, say 10% back on what they give us, then we'll try and keep it.
See, I went for a completely different angle. I looked at the 10% model, which it does work, because I have got investors that have given me money for 10% return, but I found a larger investor that put like quite a big lump sum in, but instead of giving them 10%, I give them a share of the company. So basically they put, I think it was 450k and something, don't quote me on that because I can't remember off the top of my head, but they put this lump sum into the company. She basically accumulated half of that company, so she got 50% of the shares. She's basically a silent partner now. She puts the money in, I go away, find the properties, do the refurbs, get them rented out, as we're doing small HMOs at the minute. And at the end of that period, she'll get her investment back totally, basically out of the refinances. There'll be money still left in to keep going, quite a lot of money if you look at our spreadsheet, and ultimately at the end of that we have 50% of that portfolio each, and all the rent and all the refinancing forever. Not just for 1 year, that's forever.
And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? That's the beauty of it.
And social media has worked massively in my favour.
Exactly. And that's why the rent-to-rent business has got us to where it is, but that was just a stepping stone for us. So like, we could carry on and we could smash it and we could keep doing it, but
it's one of them, if you've done 5 years without having to work, you've done pretty well at it, you know what I mean? And now 2 people as well, 2 salaries over 5 years,
and that's it.
And you've done pretty well at it. So
you also have other costs, and people don't realise this, but like, you've got your marketing. It's expensive. And if you want it to work, you've got to put some money into it. You can't spend £200-300 a month on marketing and expect to get results. You've got to go into it. You've got the office. You've got all these little things that you think, oh yeah, they're smashing it. They're making 10, 12, 13k a month. But you've got salaries, wages, offices. You're running a business. That's what rent to rent is. People see it as financial freedom. It is a business. It's a full scale business.
It's definitely not passive, as some people sell it as a passive income.
If it's passive,
get yourself a rent to rent and just leave it.
If it's passive, I wouldn't be going to Liverpool to check the electric after this podcast. You know what I mean? It's
one of them.
So what's your strategy then at the minute to actually find that investment? To find someone to come in with you, or are you just basically giving as much value as you can at the moment on?
I'll let you take this.
So all we're doing really is giving as much value as we can, showing that we're experienced in the HMO space. So even though it's rent to rent, a lot of the skills are transferable into the purchasing, because
personally, I'd say it was harder to do rent to rent than it is to buy a property and to make it, cash flow.
Well, we can only speak about what we do, can't we? Whereas the other side of it, but I feel like it gives us
you've got a landlord to deal with as well. Whereas you haven't got that when you buy a property. It's your property. So
I feel like if you've got the funds, then buying a property, I'll say it's not simpler, but it's more straightforward in the sense of you're only dealing with the vendor. If you're going direct to vendor,
once it's done, it's done. Once you've bought that property, it's done. You're not going back to the vendor continuously, because he's always got something to do with it, like a landlord.
And most people would go the buy to let method and work their way up, but with us having the HMO background, and we just love HMOs, we want to get straight into buying HMOs. So obviously we're looking outside of Article 4 areas, big properties. We're looking around like your Warringtons, that kind of places with good transport links into the major cities. Wirral as well, places around there where we can find big properties, and convert. And we've been looking at Stoke, we've been looking at Crewe where we are because it's local and we can view properties in Crewe and be back in the office in 10 minutes. But it's just...
Well, my office is in Crewe.
So is it? Whereabouts?
Yeah, on the old camp, the Apollo Buckingham campus, the old university.
Oh yeah, near the roundabout where Jaguar is.
Yeah, we're on that block there
How
in the
often are you down
university.
there?
Every day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm based from. So I was based from here. Obviously, this is my old office, but obviously once we'd merged with the bigger building company, it's kind of this place became redundant. So it was like podcast studio. Let's get it going because I wanted to do it for a year. You know what I mean? But like I've said to you before, we come on camera. I saw it as pointless until I'd built up some kind of audience on social media. You've got to have someone that wants to watch or listen to the podcast.
I think it takes a lot of work as well. It's like we have good followings on most platforms, but until we start doing longer videos for YouTube and that, we've posted 100 videos on YouTube. We have like 18 subscribers. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you have to, and it's a lot of time. Like each platform, you need to kind of target certain people on there.
I think you've got to kind of...
But it's a lot of work.
You've almost got to put the emphasis on one, work on that, get that something like.
Yeah.
Maybe move to the next one. I mean, some people will say just pick your lane and stay anytime.
Yeah,
me.
Yeah.
So
well, I feel like we're ready to go down. Obviously, if rent to rents come, we'll take them.
Yeah.
I think we're actively changing direction now. I mean, we were looking at doing project management to scale because there's quite a few people that you think they're taking a load of rent to rents, but half of them are just managing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I thought, do we want to be an estate agency? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we had Dan Cheatham on last week, I think, and obviously he's massive into SA.
Yeah.
And he's got a couple. Well, he started in rent to rent when he was very young. Are you with me? And he's just said that the rent to SA at the minute is in like really uncertain times because of the planning permission that's going to come in as part of SA. Yeah. So he's actively now trying to buy to let. Are you with me? So and he's massive in SA. So I don't think he'll ever come out of it because it's his income stream. Are you with me? Yeah. But he's got a few hurdles to get across. The next year.
We were thinking of getting a few more, not because. I mean, it might be biased, but I think compared to HMOs, SAs are easy. He has a different opinion, but
agree at all.
See, I've never done it. All I can see is like, I don't know, you kind of weighing up tenants to guests, turnovers and things like that, dealing with cleaners, you know what I mean? I'll probably get told off or someone will have a bad comment to say about this if I put this on YouTube, but when you're dealing with lower skilled people, they're generally harder to have work for you. Are you with me?
I think
it's a bit of a nightmare sometimes, and the turnover's massive. Cleaners, you forever turning them over. So
the way I see it is, how often do I go to the SA? I don't. Not been there for years. How often do I go to the HMOs? All the time.
All the time.
You can put the systems and processes in place. It runs itself.
Yeah. Well, Dan was saying the fact that after every visit you reset that property back to its natural state, back to the best state it was in.
And it's not us
cleaners going and stuff like that, maintenance guys.
So we got the Yale lock on, which is key code. You change it on the app after every guest. I don't go there. Maintenance team needs it. They go do it. Cleaners do it. Cleaners get their supplies. Do you know what I mean? They do take the stuff to the laundry. They pick it up. All you do is pay the invoice at the end of it. You have your own perspective on it, but mine, dealing with the tenants and that, I think the tenants are hard work compared to SA.
What kind of tenants have you got on the HMOs or the
professional? We are looking at going to students, just with bills.
Yeah, because with the student model, you don't include bills, and that's like standard for students. With the professionals, the kind of standard is that bills are always included. So
it's a group and not a group.
Yeah, so it's easier to manage the bills for the students to that, and because of the prices, there's quite a lot of uncertainty with energy prices. Now, obviously, every time these big increases, it does take a hit on the actual.
Put it this way, and this is why I'm not deal sourcing, rent to rents. There's no one really credible out there, and this is the problem. When you're putting together deals, bills can kill your deal. We've got a 6-bed, this one I'm going to in a minute. It's like £500 in the winter. They're estimating like 250, 300. I'm like, no chance. But because they haven't got the property,
I've seen that myself.
Telling you the average, they're like, it's a good deal. I'm like, it's not a good deal.
Telling you summertime prices, basically, aren't they?
And then they try and tell me, a guy who's got comparables, that they're right, and I just and this is I'm not going to sit here and slate them, but it's easy entry. It's low cost.
It goes back to that argument of education. People want to educate, but also people want to earn money from it. So if there's bits in there that are not going to help sell the education, you're going to leave it out. Are you with me?
Well, rent-to-rent's the same.
So,
it's low barrier, and that's why it gets a bad name. Because people can jump in on it with the spiel they've got off the course, and they've all got the exact same script. And they're all battering the same people with the exact same script. So
none of them are getting permission from the mortgage providers. They've got no PRS license and things. Yeah.
Well, we were at a networking event the other day, weren't we? And this lady was on the front, and she was saying how she got out of it and how lucky she is, and her mates. You know, she's in rent-to-rent, worst decision ever because the lease on the apartment doesn't allow it. But that's just standard due diligence.
Yeah, it's not something.
Yeah, you shouldn't have got to that point in the first place without looking at it.
This is the problem.
They were making out that rent-to-rent's like such a bad thing because of that, but really, if you were taught properly, you would have known to check that in the first place. So there's a lot of misinformation, and it's a lot of just trying to sell courses and stuff like that, especially with rent-to-rent, deal sourcing. Like, don't get me wrong, we do mentor in the rent-to-rent space, but we're straight up about everything.
Yeah, but like you've just said, you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're out there doing the do, walking the walk, whatever you want to call it.
And we don't promise you'll be financially free in 90 days. We say you want to be looking to, like, when one of our mentees actually asked, how long do you reckon it'll take to get out of a job? Just say we'll probably look at maybe a year to 2 years to get out of your job full time. And he's like,
it's a personal thing as well, isn't it? It depends on the person how much graft they're going to put in. And
exactly what we said to him. Said depends how much graft you put in, and you don't want to be rushing to leave your job. Everyone thinks that that's like the be end and end all, but when you leave your job, you haven't got that secure income, so you're constantly living in like a state of like a little bit of fear, like making sure, is the SA is the HMO going to be full this month so I can eat?
Yeah, because if you get a void and you've only got one property, that's £500 a month. That's going to hit you.
Well, I have noticed that people go straight from having a job to not having one.
Yeah.
They don't go, I'm going to cut 2 days and go to 3 days a week, I'm going to cut a day, or and do it slowly.
That's what we did.
They jump feet first, and it's kind of test the water first before you get any kind of thing.
At least earn more than what you're earning from your job through property before you think about it.
Consistently.
Like, don't just replace it. Double it and then do it. What's the rush?
Yeah. So make sure you're doing it consistently as well. Not you've earned a bit of money for 1 or 2 months. I'm going to quit my job. Have a look at like 6 month period, a year period. Is it consistent? Do you know what I mean? Like, so yeah.
Yeah, that's cracking, lads. Glad I had you round, and I'm sorry for the odd chairs. We had to get the emergency chairs in because we've got 2 lads on instead of the one. So I will source another chair from somewhere which matches at some point. So, but yeah, that's amazing. Glad you came, lads. And if anyone wants to get hold of you, obviously if they want to invest in you or they want to talk to you about investing or anything like that, where can they get hold of you?
So Instagram is the property, what is it? The property bros, isn't it?
I was letting you figure that out. You should
the
know that.
Property bros. We've also got our own personal Instagrams as well, which is Kyle Hart Property and Leon Hart Property. Is it yours, Leon Hart Property?
Yeah. Why are you asking? Like, you should know this. Do you know what I mean?
Should know these socials.
I didn't know who Kyle or Leon was at one point. I had to look on Instagram earlier just to check. But I called you the wrong name. Mate, nobody knows my name. Everyone calls me the Builder Investor.
That's your brand.
No one knows what my first.
I seen you on Facebook and I wouldn't know until like now I know. You know what I mean? It's different, isn't it?
Well, that's good. I suppose that's branding, isn't it? So
exactly. Yeah.
Right. So we'll up to 40 minutes, guys. So we'll leave it at that, and we'll see you again on the next episode. And thanks for watching or tuning in. Cheers, guys.
Au revoir.